He bought himself a car, a '57 Pontiac, and he died in that car. He and a friend were going drinking. The bars had closed in Pittsfield, but New York State, they stayed open till 3 o'clock in the morning. So the bars are closed at midnight or 1 o'clock or whatever. So he and his friend still want to keep drinking. So they head over what we call over the mountain, taking the road over to Albany, right? And evidently fell asleep at the wheel and just went full, right at 60 miles an hour into a tree. Well, he was very bright, but very disturbed, I mean, emotionally, he was very immature, but he was very, very bright, and I think that everybody liked him precisely because, he broke rules. Everybody loves a rule breaker, I remember telling this detective from Bridgeport about Bobby, and some of the things that he had done, and he was a retired detective, but he lived out in Lordship, Jack Flynn. So I was telling Jack about him, and Jack said, "You know what? Geez, he sounds like an interesting person. I'd like to have known him." Yeah, he was fun to be around. He was into the boxing. He loved boxing, and he was very good at it, and people were afraid of him. And I remember one time I was being teased by this kid, at the high school, and so he asked, "Who was it?" I told him. That kid never bothered me, and he went and talked to that kid and just said, "Hey, don't fool around with my brother." But Bobby had that kind of reputation. He was a tough guy, So anyhow, he said to me one day, "Come on, I'll teach you how to box." So we're, all right, so we're boxing out in the yard, but we're right near the house. And he says, "You really want to get serious?" I said, "Yeah, I feel confident now."
How old are you at this time?
Oh, maybe 10 years old, right? So Bobby said, "All right, let's go down into the woods." And my friend Jerry was with us, and Jerry looked at me and he said, "You're not serious. You're going to box your brother?" I said, "Well, yeah, but I didn't think Bobby would take advantage of the situation, right?" So we go down into the woods, nobody around. So Bobby and I get up like this. The next thing I know, I'm waking up. And Bobby's over me, and he's really upset. God, he said, "You all right?" He must have landed one. I mean, I didn't even know it. I mean, all of a sudden, I'm waking up. and he's so worried that I'm going to tell my mother and father, that he did this, And of course, Jerry's there, and they're just worried that I was injured or something. Yeah, I think he was 1.5 years maybe older than I. I was in junior high school, so, and he was a couple years ahead of me. I don't know if he finished high school. Remember he went into the Navy? And I think maybe he went into the Navy instead of finishing high school. Something like that. So the trouble came after he got out of the Navy, and maybe just bored or whatever, and so he stole a car, and that's what he got sent up for, was car theft. Reform school in Concord, Mass, and he and a couple of other guys tried to escape, and they're climbing. They go throughout the roof, I think, and it's one of those buildings that's like 4 stories high or so, huge, and they're trying to come down a drain pipe, and the drain pipe, they're all on it. I mean, talk about being stupid. The drain pipe collapses, right? And then he worked at a bakery after he got out, and he was very good. In the bakery was right on Tyler Street near that cafe that I talked to. And and at the time I was in college, and when I was home in the summer, I was working on building the Mass Turnpike. And he would say, "I'll stop by the bakery and I'll give you a dozen donuts." And he always did. Every morning I'd pull up, and it was like 5 o'clock, and he's already at work at 4 or something, getting the, and he was very good at it, and they liked him there. And he was actually engaged to be married. He had a girlfriend, and and he had settled down. He seemed like he was almost reformed. Come around to his senses and everything. Of course, I followed him in school, and the teachers would say, that they would always say, "God, your brother was bright. It's too bad he didn't have more discipline." So they all loved him. They all had this kind of admiration for him because he was a gay spirit, and he was very bright and witty, And I think that my Uncle Bob liked playing chess with him because he could outsmart him sometimes, you know. But they would play on the front porch. They'd play chess, which was unusual. And my Uncle Bob had this very special affection for Bobby, so that when he did die, he had that painting done of Bobby to send to my mother.